So that's what conscious parenting is about raising yourself alongside raising your children. Most of us look in the mirror of our parent-child dynamic and we see failure, we feel ashamed, we feel critical, we feel loathing, because that's the same old voice from our childhood. The swiping is the problem. Monday, Wednesday, Friday can be no social media day, no detox day. Keep the phone out of your house as far as possible, as long as possible. Like any drug, there is a very painful withdrawal period. Parents don't realize how if they could repivot and re-strategize, they would really be the solution to their own misery.
You might know Dr Shefali Tsabary as the voice that reframed modern parenting, but what makes her truly arresting is the way she exposes the invisible patterns we've been taught to call normal. A clinical psychologist who's helped millions unlearn conditioning, Dr Shefali doesn't offer quick fixes. She offers a radical return to truth, to presence, to the self you've been performing away. In this episode, we go beneath the roles mother, partner, high achiever, the strong one, and into the places we rarely name out loud, the quiet resentment, the perfectionism dressed up as ambition, the fear of disappointing everyone. She shares what conscious living actually looks like in the real world, the moments that break you open, the boundaries that save you, and the rituals that bring you back when you've lost yourself again. If you've ever looked successful on paper but felt disconnected in your body, this conversation won't just inspire you, it will recalibrate you. A quick word from today's sponsor before we dive in. Pulsetto. This little device is designed to stimulate the vagus nerve, which plays a key role in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for helping our body shift out of stress mode and back into rest and recovery. So you wear the device on your neck for just 4 minutes and you can choose a program that you need, whether it's sleep, burnout, stress, anxiety, via the app. The device sends gentle electrical pulses to stimulate the vagus nerve and encourage the nervous system back towards balance. I've been pairing it with a quick breath work or meditation a couple of times a day, and tuning in like that has made the world of difference to my anxiety and overwhelm. For me, it's become a quick daily reset, a drug-free, non-invasive way to help my nervous system shift out of stress mode and back towards calm. Visit pulsetto.tech for more information and use the code Beauticate for 15% off. Hi, I'm Sigourney Cantelo and welcome to Beautiful Inside by Beauticate. I've spent more than 2 decades as a beauty and health journalist exploring what it takes to look good on the outside. But after I was hit with my own mental health challenges, it begged a deeper question. What is it that makes people truly beautiful from within? On this podcast, we sit down with fascinating people, founders, experts, tastemakers, to explore the rituals, mindset, and life lessons that make them feel their best inside and out. It's become my mission to create a safe space for these honest conversations so that we can validate our experience and learn from each other. So if you want to feel your best and live beautifully, you're in the right place. And if you enjoy these conversations, please take a minute to follow us and give us a rating. It makes all the difference and means that we can help continue this important work and share these conversations. Now let's get into it. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Shefali. I've been really enjoying researching you and hearing your perspective on things. If you could define your mission and philosophy at a little bit of an elevator pitch, how would you do that?
So what I pioneered was this whole revolutionary way of parents raising children called conscious parenting. You see it now in all the messaging. You just may not realize that it comes from this philosophy of conscious parenting where the parent realizes that they need to raise themselves, meaning heal themselves, work on their own hidden expectations, on their own fantasies, on their own emotional baggage alongside raising their children. So when I first talked about it way back in 2010, no one used to talk about the inner child of the parent and understanding one's childhood. Of course, now it's all over the internet, but back then it was a very new philosophy. And I wrote my first book called The Conscious Parent. And then I've written, 6 books after that. And my main gift to the world really is to help parents parent more joyfully, more empowered, because there are things that we parents can do different to end our burnout, to end the conflict, to end the back and forth. We just don't know that there's a way. We think that I must be just doing it wrong, or my kid is really difficult. Parents don't realize how if they could repivot and re-strategize, they would really be the solution to their own misery.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a lot of us, especially as we hit our 40s, that sort of start to take a look at our parenting styles and that intergenerational trauma. What would you say to people who either haven't kind of had that awakening yet or had that moment of, oh, wait, what have I brought from my parents and how is that affecting the way I parent now? What would you say to those people?
It's okay, even if they haven't hit their burnout, every single mother listening knows that there are moments where she is in a panic, where it is about her and she knows it somewhere. She
Yeah.
hasn't yet, faced the reality that it is her. And if you're listening right now and you're thinking, oh my God, why are we talking about our problems and why are we, guilt tripping the mother? I want every mother to understand that this is not about shaming or blaming you. This is about making you realize that there's something going on inside you that is literally blocking your ability to connect to your child. And therefore, you feel more burnt out, more stressed out, more exhausted. If only you could understand what that is.
Mm,
Just a few weeks ago, I'll give an example from my own life. I kind of lost it at my daughter, who's now 22, and we got into an argument. And as soon as those words of irritation came out of my mouth, and I paused and I asked myself, what is going on with me right now? Is something going on with me right now? And I could immediately go to, I've been stressed out because I've been writing my next book. I'm under the deadline. I'm editing. I'm
mm,
feeling cramped. I'm feeling like I'm not going to get it done. So all my perfectionism is coming up. And the minute my daughter added to that by not listening or not, following my instructions perfectly, I
mm,
felt that helplessness, that frustration
mm,
erupt. Now,
mm,
does this mean it may not have erupted if I was not editing a book? No, I may still have,
mm,
but the degree to which, the intensity to which, and the minute I could touch in and realize it was so much stress in my life,
mm.
then I could kind of soothe myself a little bit and then return to my child. So it's that internal awareness and reflection that I teach how to do it, how to spot it, how to become aware of it,
Mm.
and then what to do and how to resolve it. It just clears up the air so much faster.
It's that all important pause, isn't it? And sometimes you might not get the pause before the outburst.
Right.
Maybe you've had the outburst and then you have the pause, but it's that reflection and then the repair, right? That's so important. What did you say to your daughter after that?
Right. I just said I'm extremely stressed out. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry.
Mm,
And you're right. And but this is what you're not doing to help me. Can you please help me?
mm,
And I was able to turn it around. But you're right. It doesn't have to happen right away even, and it doesn't have to happen before. I mean, it would be ideal, but it
yeah.
often doesn't. But I think what I teach is that moment when you become aware, that's when you can activate your choice of,
Mm,
okay, do I continue for another 30 minutes or can I just end it in 10 minutes?
mm,
How bad do I want this to, be? How far do I want to go? So it's about calibration and
mm,
about awareness.
mm.
And the beautiful thing is being able to look at this relationship as a mirror and not as a reflection of your brokenness, but a mirror for how you need to grow. So the way I teach parents is, most of us look in the mirror of our parent-child dynamic and we see failure, we feel ashamed, we feel critical, we feel loathing,
Yeah.
because that's the same old voice from our childhood.
Mm,
But we need to understand that the mirror is here to show us how we need to grow. But in order to get there, we have to do this reparenting,
yeah.
and that's what I teach. And the parent who can reparent themselves is going to be the most amazing parent to their child. The parent who doesn't have an inner parent for themselves available,
Mm.
they haven't grown that muscle, they haven't learned what, maybe there's some parents listening right now going, what is she talking about?
How do you do
but
that? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but this is what I teach. I have an institute and I actually teach parents how to parent themselves, because if
Mm,
you haven't learned to parent yourself, that's the missing piece of parenting your children. So that's what conscious parenting is about raising yourself alongside raising your children. So every time you hit that roadblock and you think, oh my God, I'm the worst parent, now you get to shift it to, this is what conscious parenting is all about. It's about, this is a moment where I need to now go inward
Mm.
and parent myself, and then show my child in real time how I did that, depending on their age, and now we can repair together. And yes, the child has to see you imperfect,
Mm.
because we're learning together, we're growing together, and there's so much power in that, because now you take your child off any illusion of perfection,
Mm.
and you take yourself off the pedestal. So now you're very much in the trenches of your flaws and your limitations, and you're forgiving each other. And that is so valuable to give her, right? We think we should give them perfection, but that is an unrealistic ideal that no one can step into, and it actually makes your children feel worse.
That's really interesting that you talk about the perfectionism, because when I was researching and listening to your work, I was struck with this sense of wonder and inspiration, but also shock and fear when I realized how much I've been trying to control my children, and particularly around screens and tech. And this is something that, the more I listen to your work, I realize that you're not saying a completely hands-off approach at all with screens and tech, particularly, as you say, if it's something like a dangerous drug of technology, then you become very controlling. So I want to understand, how do you put this into practice when a lot of it is sort of a Zen mentality around letting the child be themselves and be in their own energy? How do you actually curb the screen addiction and the tech
Yeah,
stuff
it's
without
really,
too
yeah,
forceful?
and this is what I'm going to be teaching when I come to Australia. I'm coming in March. I'm so excited. So I'm going to be helping parents, because many parents come to me with this dilemma. It's
Mm.
really, really simple. I look at it as, we have to create life enhancing boundaries in stone and ego enhancing boundaries in sand. Okay, so let me explain.
Wow.
So when your child is young, under the age of 13, 14, I would say even 15, and their brains are still developing, they still don't have their prefrontal cortex. They are still, in the prime of their neural synapses connecting and, rewiring themselves. There's so much plasticity, there's so much energy going on, that we want to understand that they are acutely vulnerable to changes in the environment. They're acutely vulnerable to stimulation and to overwhelm. And that is what screens are. Screens are a buzzing minefield of stimulation and overwhelm, and their brains cannot handle it. So when you give that kind of drug, to that narcotic, to the brain that cannot handle it, it's like giving crack cocaine. So
Mm.
it's a life enhancing boundary, because this is a life taking device. So there is only a stone boundary, right? Of course, you can give them TV, 30 minutes, a movie, very different than giving them this device. And why is this device different? It's because when you allow a child to, with the power of their finger, organize the external reality with such a command, what you're doing is you're giving that little body control of dopamine on steroids. And so anytime the brain feels habituated to the cartoon, it'll swipe. It'll swipe. The swiping is the problem. And then what the brain is doing is rewiring to get more and more instant gratification. Now, when you watch a movie with your child once a week, that is very different, because we have to sit through the boring parts. There's no swiping.
Mm.
Okay, so that is the first problem. The second problem,
And it's a shared experience, isn't it? So you can
and
talk
it's a
about.
shared experience. You have the remote control. You can watch 30 minutes at a time. You cannot carry it with you. It's not something you can put on at the flicker of boredom. You have to organize it. You have to schedule it. It is amazing, right? Go back to old fashioned TV. Now, the second thing that's dangerous about the swipe and giving a child whose brain is not yet developed the power to swipe is that the algorithm is responding to the swipe.
Yes.
So now you are giving your child's brain over
Mm.
to the control of the algorithm who cares only to keep them hooked.
Oh,
So they will give them just enough to keep them hungry and make it just exciting to keep coming back.
yeah.
And that's it. Your child's brain is being rewired in real time now. So we are so careful about sending our children to, would you send your 8-year-old to India alone? No, you wouldn't, because you'd be scared. So you should be scared of this too. So it's the same kind of boundary. It is not about being controlling, it is about being protective. My daughter's 22. If I knew what people know today, the drug would not be able to enter my house. But I didn't know back then. So now I'm going around educating parents on how they can negotiate this in their mind. And once you make it clear in your mind, then you don't feel like the bad guy. Your values are aligned and you get in your center. And yes, it's difficult. And yes, there's peer pressure, but you are very clear that you are protecting your child's mind.
So, what do we do when we've already got it in our lives? How do we cut back? How can we go back if we're already so far in?
You are very blessed that you are so smart, so wise, and you can do something about it. Now, like any drug, there is a very painful withdrawal period.
Yeah.
But I think if you enlist the input and guidance of a coach, an extra person who can be the bad guy,
Mm.
and when the coach asks you, what do you guys fight about? And you're like, oh my God, we only fight about screens, and you're in tears. And even if you don't have a coach, you can do this on your own too. Like, kind of come clean. Listen, document your fights for the next 2 weeks. Record them if you need to.
Mm.
Write in your journal and show him how you're in anguish. And then do a family intervention. This is the data. This is the record. This is how I'm feeling. This is not okay. I'm so sorry. I thought you could handle it. I thought we had an agreement, but you're breaking the agreement. It's not your fault. It's your brain on drugs.
Mm.
Show him some videos, get some good videos,
Do you
uh,
have any good resources that you recommend?
well, Tristan Harris did a documentary. I think it was called Social Media, something like that. But there's a lot of YouTube information on the brain on social media and what happens to the brain. And it's similar to gambling, it's similar to drugs and violence. And you can show the data and do a presentation, come from your heart, do a mind, body, soul, show the record of every fight you've had for 2 weeks and record the argument and go, what is this? What do you think's happening here? What do you think's happening here? He will be horrified. Like any drug, there is a very painful withdrawal period. The other day, I sat with an almost 11-year-old boy and his mother. And I told him, I said, your mother is burning out. And your mother came to me crying. And he looked at her and said, you did? He had no idea what she was feeling. You have to take your power back. You've given your power away because you want to be the popular mom. You've given your power away because you want to be the good mom and you want approval. And I understand that. And so does he. But I promise you, he doesn't mean this. He can't help it. It's so exhilarating. They design it for the teen brain to get hooked.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. He's addicted, but you need to see the signs and end it. And
We
it's
just
not
take it away,
healthy.
cold turkey. Like, do we just take it?
Well, you can wean him off, and you have alarm bells, you have the Wi-Fi going off the whole house. You just take Wi-Fi off the house. He is going to be exposed, and he's already been exposed to online porn, to violence, to misogyny,
Mm.
to everything that you thought you could protect your child from. He's been exposed. You're such a good mother, and that's why you have tears in your eyes, because you feel helpless because these other kids have it. And I wish, and I know in Australia now there's a rule that you can't
Yeah.
have social media. That's so amazing. But I think more and more parents are going to get together and rally and protect our children. But, we're just finding out all this data. So I want you to know that what you can do also is focus on real life connections.
Yeah.
The more games you play, the more hikes you take, the more time you cuddle with him,
Yeah.
you can create an antidote.
Mm.
But you just have to work a lot harder and keep the phone out of your house as far as possible, as long as possible.
I like when you chatted to Mel Robbins and she suggested the basket, at dinner time, that the phones go in the basket, something like that. You can get lockable boxes as well that, you put them all in a clear lockable box. I don't know if that's,
And
I,
you could have a
I
detox day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday can be no social media day, no a detox day. The whole house can be shut down, even dad, even mom. And you just make it part of your house and you say, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do. Because he's going to keep saying, no one else does this. No one else does this. And I'm going to make you feel like you're crazy. But he's too young. He is young, so you're lucky. He is young. He talks a big game, but he's young.
Well, I just interviewed Celeste Barber. I don't know if you know her. She's a big comedian in Australia, very famous. She does parodies social media, and the interview just went live. And she says her kids don't have any games, any apps. They've got a smartphone, but nothing. No social media, no gaming. And it was quite groundbreaking when I heard that. I was like, what? It's like I've fought for it. It's been really bloody hard, but I've just stuck to my guns. And now when we go out to dinner, they take a deck of Uno and all the kids end up playing with it because it's a novelty. So I think there is this new frontier. And funny you should say it. What we know now, I've got a group of mum friends who've all agreed that we're not getting phones for our girls because they're all friends. And then, we're banding together. And when we do, we'll get them dumb phones. We'll get them flip phones.
Yeah, the best thing you can do for your daughter is to not give her a phone, because the girl's identity is created in context of her close relationships. She is far more vulnerable to rejection, feeling FOMO, feeling rejected, betrayed than any boy, because she is more sensitive.
Now, you were saying some amazing things about having more connection time as a family, and I think that's really beautiful, and it's something I want to explore a little bit further. You've talked about it with regards to having too many activities. We're all so overcommitted as families, so many of us. How do we know when your kid or your family is doing too much?
Well, I think, if we're talking about an insane schedule like every day after school, it's probably too much.
Yeah.
But there are other signs, right? Your child is exhausted in the morning, they have headaches, they have stomach aches. Children typically don't verbally articulate, but their body kind of gives up. And you will see it over time. And sometimes the child will plow through, especially if you have a very good child and they want to please you. But I think it's up to us parents to foretell and preempt and create the guardrails for our children, even if they are saying that they love it, they're fine, right? Because children are not so attuned yet, and they don't know how to plan and organize because their frontal cortex is not yet developed. So they may tend to be more impulsive. They may tend to put a lot more on their plate than they can actually handle physically or emotionally.
I know as an adult that I put too much on my plate, and I can't, I have no biofeedback in terms of I'm exhausted until it all comes crashing down. So I can only imagine as kids, it's even harder.
Right. And we live in a culture that glorifies busyness and pedestalizes and valorizes hard work and exhaustion. It's almost as if it's a trophy. And we don't realize how toxic that kind of messaging is. Just the other day, I wrote to my daughter, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock and I'm starving and I'm exhausted, 3 p.m. and I had not yet eaten. And as soon as I sent it, I was like, oh, that is a bad message to send to her, right? And I didn't realize that I was passing on a message. So we as parents have to be very attuned to how in our generation, overworking was considered a virtue, but now it's kind of unhealthy.
The tides are turning. It's the same way that we've realized that sleep is so important.
Yeah.
In the 90s, it was all like the CEOs were like, I exist on 5 hours sleep. And it was this badge of honor not to sleep. And now it's the same thing with busyness. I think our addiction to busyness is now being looked at under the microscope as we realize what it's doing to our nervous system. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no sacrificing that's worth this kind of physical and mental exhaustion. So we have to teach our children to tune into their bodies. What does your body say? How exhausted is your body? and learn to honor it, right? And this generation, and I think your children will be the same, they do honor rest. It's fascinating how they've kind of changed the paradigm, and they
Do
they do see us.
So your
Oh
daughter's
yeah,
generation?
she prioritizes
What does
rest
she
a
do?
lot.
What's an example of that? Like, does she factor it in? Does she diarize it? I mean, what does she do?
Well, she'll just no, she'll rest, she'll watch a movie, she'll stay in bed, she'll be like, I need to rest.
Wow.
I'm burning out, I'm tired. I'll hear those words from her, and somebody from my generation, like me, kind of poo-poos it. Like, are you serious? Like, what are you resting from? Rest? More rest is bringing about more fatigue. But I think it's a good thing that they're learning to honor their body. And she'll say things like, I'm overstimulated.
Wow. Well, that's all you're teaching, though, don't you think? Because
No,
you've
I think
taught
it's
her
a
to be
Gen
so
Z.
aware.
No, I think it's a Gen Z thing. Sometimes they're too fragile. Like, they'll say things like, I'm checking out, I can't even handle this. But it's like they have like extra fragility sometimes.
I mean, where do we draw the line? And do we say something when they're being too fragile, or do we just...
I think we should say, but after checking in with ourselves, because we are too overproduction based, too doing based, too busy based. So I have to always check myself because I do project, and I do think that their generation is kind of very, very easy on themselves and kind of fragile, and it's a judgment. But they have a judgment about us, that we are, overworking, and we're distracting ourselves with our busyness, and we're disconnected, and we're burnt out, and we are a burnt out generation. So
Wow.
you're probably in between, and you may have both elements in you. But I think, and then after checking in, and if we really think that they're extra fragile with themselves, I think we can kind of say, come on, that you barely done anything all day and you're tired. Right. But
Okay.
I've hired some Gen Zers, and I've had to kind of let them go, because they are a bit, I'm a flower, I'm too precious, don't mess with me.
I've noticed that. I've had some interns as well, and I'm like, really? I mean, they're like, I need a mental health day. And well, actually,
yeah,
it's not your job to decide that. Sorry, you're meant to be working.
Right. And you just started working, or you just had a long break. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're overdoing it, but we overdid it the other way. So I think the generational pendulum just keeps swinging. And I don't think there's any good or bad. And I think what matters is that people find meaning, people find purpose, and they are able to at least sustain themselves, right? At the end of the day, who are we to tell anyone how much money they should make or how much they should work? But we certainly, as parents of young adults, can let them know that we expect them to take care of themselves, right? So I give my daughter deadlines, right? Okay, by 23, you have to have a full-time job. By 24, 25, you have to be fully self-sustaining. I can support you a little bit, but you got to be paying your bills. So you can give them deadlines, but it's not up to us to judge the quality of their existence, right?
What if they don't meet the deadlines? I mean, is it a hard line?
Well, I think it should be a little bit of course, we can't kick them out, but I think we should sternly expect that, rent is due. Because I do think.
But what happens if they say, no, I can't do it? Do you then say, well, you got to move out?
Well, then
how stern would you be? How strict would you be?
Yeah, I'm the worst. Okay, I'm like a total. I'm talking a good talk, but I'm a total wimp. But I'm imagining a healthy parent, right, would say something like, by the age of 23, you can choose to live here. I can't like physically throw you out, but I will not be able to cover your rent, your expenses, your laundry. I will not. I won't be evil and just back you out, but I do expect you to cover everything. And I suggest by 24, you don't live here, because I don't think it's healthy. So I think we can gently, lovingly create boundaries for ourselves. I won't be able to pay this much rent. I will only, you got to give me something. I cannot handle an adult in this house. You got to contribute something. And if they say no, then you have to make a choice. Every parent and every child is different. And of course, if your child is extremely fragile and is having depressive episodes. You don't want to,
Different case,
you
case
don't
by
want to be
case basis.
cruel, but you can begin to create some sort of autonomy and some real life hardships so that your child does develop some resilience and picks them up and decides to live for themselves by themselves.
How do we do that in younger kids and teenagers? Because I've got a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old. I'm wondering, a lot of experts say we've coddled the kids too much, and maybe that's resulting in these kind of interns who say they need mental health days. Mm-hmm. How do we make sure our kids are resilient in a loving and conscious way?
Well, I think the first thing is that we cannot fall apart when they fall apart. So we can't get too impressed with every heartache, with every tantrum, with every meltdown. So if we are calm and we know that after 13 or 14, the aliens have abducted your child and will bring them back in 10 years. No, really, you'll see. Just today, I was with a woman, a mother, who told me what happened. And I said, what happened is teenagehood happened and the aliens came. And she's like, you're so right, the aliens came. So now you're just on a roller coaster where you're with Jekyll or you're with Hyde and you don't know who it is. And every day is survival. So you just have to go through 10 years of hell. I'm so happy.
10?
Yeah, I think 22, 23, they begin to start coming back. I think the aliens don't want them anymore. But the young adult who's still a teenager is not wanting to, leave or to come back. So they are like, possessed. They don't know who they are. So I now see my daughter having some sense and some rationality, and it gives me hope. I've got another year left, I think. But it's a long process. I think when we were growing up in our generations, because our parents were so, brutally unconscious, we wanted to leave the roost. Now, thanks to people like me, I have really ruined it, and others like me. Now we have become such amazing parents, they don't want to leave. Right?
It's your fault.
Part of it is I've done it to myself. My daughter doesn't want to leave. She's in the next room right now. And she's even said scary things like, oh, we'll be together at least till I'm 30. I'm like, 30? I'm like, no, I will leave then. You take my house, I will leave. Okay. I'll go live in New York City.
Go live with the aliens.
Exactly. I'll go. Don't worry. So we've made it so lovely for them. Now we've attuned and we don't yell and we don't scream. So now they don't want to leave. So yeah, it's a pendulum swing.
I hadn't thought about that. Wow.
Yes. Don't do too good a job. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Start going crazy around 19 or 20. Go back to the old ways.
Okay. Okay. So all the hard work we've done, just reverse it. Now, I wanted to ask a question that a friend of mine, Nicole, she's a big fan of yours, and I said to a few friends, has anyone got a question for Dr. Shefali? And she said she tries to live very consciously, but how do we remain grounded in a world that doesn't want us to be? Which sort of harks back to the question of being overly busy and overly connected. How do we, as parents, center ourselves and prioritize our family?
Well, it takes more and more and more power within us and more discipline. So we cannot get swept away with the cultural tide, even more today than ever before. We have to hide our Instagram app from view so we don't, it's like an alcoholic. Yeah, don't go on the street where the bar is. Like, you have to hide your Facebook, hide your Instagram, that even you don't know how to get to it. You have to throw away your Netflix account, right? Netflix will come and sue me now. But you just have to go back to analog, at least Monday through Saturday. So you have to take accountability, and you can't blame culture, right? Culture is doing what culture does best, which is manipulate us parents, make us feel like we're not doing a good job, manipulate us women, tell us we're ugly and old and fat, and sell us everything based on our insecurity. So we have to see through the manipulation and refuse to be manipulated. The other day is when it kind of all came together for me. I'm embarrassed to say that it was only the other day, but I was in a state of kind of doom and gloom over the state of the world and talking to my best friend. And I said, oh my God, what's happening? How is there no shining light? How is there no human being that is going to come save us? Like, How come there's no politician, no next Martin Luther King, no Gandhi? Where are these people? How come we stopped producing them? And I was lamenting and saying, I keep waiting and hoping. And he looked at me and he's like, I don't have a doom and gloom. And I was like, what's going on in your Instagram feed that you don't have doom and gloom? I'm like, how come you're not needing medication right now like I do? So he was like, I'm looking at a completely different feed. And I was
His
like,
algorithm
wow.
is better.
His algorithm is so much healthier.
Yeah.
He's laughing. He's not, wrapped up in the politics. He's not going up and down like a psycho like I am. And I was like, wow, my algorithm is literally feeding off my anxiety and giving me more anxiety. And I have allowed it to. And I keep hoping that it'll give me the relief. You see, I'm like a drug addict because I'm so anxious. I keep waiting for the next Martin Luther King or next Nelson Mandela, or waiting for Oprah to become the next president. I'm waiting for something, right? But that's exactly like a gambler waiting for the next hit, right? The next time they have a reward, just like 10 years ago on Tuesday, they got a reward. Now they're waiting for the next reward, right? I've become an addict waiting for my next salvation, but the algorithm knows that I'm waiting because it sees me anxious, scrolling. So it feeds me more. And then once in a while, it'll give me some good soundbite by some articulate politician, but then they'll hide it and then I have to go looking for him or her again. So once I realized that I'm really not getting reality, I'm getting a skewed version of reality. And I'm really upset every day. And my mental health is out the window and down the toilet. I put my Instagram, I hid it all the way. And let me tell you, just by it not being on my home screen, I've stopped scrolling.
That's brilliant. So you just like deleted the app off your screen.
No, it's not. I'm not that hardcore.
Oh, you just put it on another page. Yes. That's one thing. There are apps as well that actually lock you out.
Then I'll feel controlled and then I'll be rebellious like a teenager. And look
you know your own self. You know your own self best.
Yeah. But we're all to say that we need to see how we're being manipulated.
Absolutely.
We can't blame the apps.
Yeah. But then what about the feeling of keeping up with the Joneses and taking the daughter having to do dance and music and blah, blah, blah? Like, I think there's a sort of competitiveness among families and parents that I don't really subscribe to that because my kids are not super into a lot of activities, but I know there's a lot of families where either the child is super driven or the parents are super driven and they're doing everything. And I don't know how you as a parent can prioritize which things are important.
Yeah, let me tell you, as a parent of a now 22-year-old, and I've been there, done that, none of it is really important. So it's just self-induced importance from the ego. I talk about this a lot in my book called The Awakened Family. You should read it. It's really a brilliant book. And I talk about how I had so much pressure as well to enroll my kid in all the activities. And but I didn't. I resisted. And because my child wasn't that kind of child. And I wasn't going to be that kind of parent, because I was too exhausted and scattered to have the, type A personality to take on parenting like a corporate job. Many mothers take it on as their job. And they're here to create a trophy child. To
sculpt
and curate the perfect child, to kind of make up for the fact that they've given up their own CEO job or their own corporate high-flying career. And now they have to compensate. So children don't need 1,000 activities. Most of them are going to suck at them. Most of them aren't going to the Baseball Hall of Fame or to the Carnegie Hall of, and being a rocket or, forget
whatever
it.
It is,
They're not going to win an Oscar. They're not going to the Olympics. So why are we exhausting ourselves? And even the kid who is going to go to the Olympics, I mean, poor kid. Because now he's got the pressure that he can't just be a swimmer. He has to be the next Michael Phelps. So all of this is just this insane amount of egoic pressure. And I teach parents. And that's my mission, is to teach parents how to manage their own unfulfilled expectations, their own unfulfilled dreams, because that's what they're really projecting onto their child. And I teach them what to do instead. I've written 7 books on parenting. I'm coming to Australia. Yes. I'm so excited to teach parents, because parents are looking for permission. If they understood what I did, and if I'm telling you I didn't do these things and my child is empowered and confident and strong, then I'm giving you permission. You see, most of these parents who are on this roller coaster, race to nowhere, are deeply anxious. They just don't show it. And if I'm here to tell you as a therapist, don't do it, then parents go, "Ah, thank you. Okay, I won't do it." I
That's such a
once
relief.
gave a mother permission to not make a 7 course breakfast. And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Stop doing it." And the minute I gave her permission, she stopped. And the kid was happier, she was happier. She was giving them a gourmet breakfast. And I said, "Are you kidding me? Just put a bar in the bag and an apple, and you're lucky if they have that. And a smoothie to go." And she was like juicing, and I was like, "What are you
Oh my
doing?"
goodness, the
And she was a
pressure.
wreck because she was so
Oh.
upset they would never eat her food.
Oh
Right?
gosh, isn't it mad the pressure we put on ourselves?
The pressure to be this amazing mother is going to run us dry.
I think so many of us suffer from that, and the ideals and yeah, that we put on ourselves. What do you do with those hours in the afternoon? Like when they're normally filling with activities. I have to work. So many of us work. So the kids come home, and we've got this sort of 2 hours of when it's kind of actually easier for them to be doing an activity, but making them do homework is hard because you're working. Like, do you have any strategies or tips or tricks or things that you can tell people to when they're working from home and they're stuck on their tech? And for me, I have to be on social media. It's part of the job, as for you, I'm sure. How do we deal with these children without resorting to technology?
I know. Well, there is no easy answer. Young children under the age of 12, and definitely under the age of 10, require presence.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to live in a village where we had other aunties and sisters to help and other children to play with our kids. So we always had older kids and younger kids. But now we're isolated in our fancy houses. The next house is so far away, and everything is scheduled, everything is supervised. So the mother who wants to do it differently now has to play with the kid or has to be around.
Mm.
And what I would say to working mothers is, if they're from home, you know, don't tear yourself up with guilt if your kid is on a screen a little bit while you're busy, but also let go of the need to be super successful for the moment, for this moment, and
Mm.
invest in your children because they really do need you. And I say this for the father, I say this for the grandmother, whoever, somebody needs to be there. And let go of the pressure of trying to do it all because you won't be able to do it all and you'll just burn out. So maybe what I did for myself is I just told myself for the first 10 years, I wouldn't travel. I wouldn't have a super successful career. I'll just write books when she's sleeping. And I'm going to be 20 pounds overweight, right? I just made peace with that. I just made peace with it. I was like, I cannot put too much on my plate. And I wasn't really very successful back then. I mean, I was a successful author, but I didn't do all these speaking gigs, and I had to tone it down because I was mostly single mother. My then husband was a pilot, so I couldn't. So you have to kind of compromise for your mental health.
Mm.
So if you want to be super successful and be a super attuned parent, then you need sisters and help and a co-parent to help you.
A village, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love talking to you. You just give us permission to be normal. I want to hear a little bit more about your journey because you touched on it then, and also you look fabulous. So I want to know a little bit about what you do wellness wise. But tell me about childhood, how you came to do what you do, and were you always going to do what you do?
Yeah, I was always going to be a teacher from a young age, right? I always knew I wanted to. I was definitely an empath, a fixer from a young age, very connected. And it was a skill, which then people obviously exploited and used, right? I was my parents' therapist, I was everybody's therapist.
Enmeshed.
A little bit enmeshed, had to really leave. So I left the country, came all the way to America. I was all alone when I came.
Oh, so you were in India?
Yeah.
So at what age did you leave?
At 21.
Okay.
Yeah, and
wow.
back then we didn't have a phone, no internet, no email. So, and I didn't even have, I had one relative, one cousin somewhere. So I came on my own and built a life from scratch.
That's
and
amazing.
Yeah, I had to learn the American ways and really had to learn a whole new language. I always knew I was going to teach. And then I'm just a writer. I love writing. It came naturally to me.
Mm.
So I began writing. It was very, very organic. And, and I was a meditator. I loved
Oh,
Eastern
you were
spirituality. Yeah.
always
When I
okay.
came here, I began and was so fascinated by Eastern spirituality, Buddhism in particular, and then just began integrating it in my work. And then it just grew, and nothing was really very planned out. It was very intuitive, very
Mm.
heart centered. Never certainly thought I would be any sort of famous, but it just kind of grew. And
Mm.
even today, I pinch myself. I love what I do, but I stay very close to service, my message. I don't get too far away from my intention.
Yeah.
And that's why I've stayed grounded, stayed free, stayed kind of anxiety free, because I stay really close to the message. And
Mm.
I'm very dedicated to help parents because I know how hard it is and I know
Yeah.
that I can help them.
Yeah.
So I traveled the world, all over. I was in Thailand, Indonesia, India, just all of this year, Vietnam, spreading the word and teaching this message. And I'm so
And
excited to be coming to
Australia
Australia now.
next March.
hmm
Yes.
I've been
Yeah.
I've been to Australia before, and I'm coming back. So very excited to have parents come to learn, because, like you said, just somebody giving us context, giving us
Mm.
permission. And I
Mm.
speak to parents every day, so I know what
Mm.
everyone is going through, right? I
Mm.
have a finger on the pulse, and then I decode parenting. I deconstruct it, I put it in a map, I put it in a pathway, and I hand it over to parents. And I have an institute. I teach this every day. I teach parents to become coaches. And that's the best way you can become the best parent, when you learn what it takes.
Wow.
And I've already coached over 1,400 coaches globally. So I do this work, and that's why I can
Mm.
teach it, because I'm in it and I know how to help other parents.
How many coaches do you have in Australia?
Oh, maybe around 50, 45 or 50.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any sense of how Australians differ in their parenting style, or do you have any specific things you've noticed about Australians?
I think the only thing I think that's different is that maybe Australians are a little bit more reserved, a little shy.
Mm.
They're not like Americans, right? Just bear it all and talk
Mm.
about themselves. A little more British in you, maybe, like more,
Yeah.
more withdrawn, more kind of like, don't tell me what to do with my children, kind of
Yep. Yep.
old school. But I think y'all are equally burning out, equally
Mm.
confused, very scared about losing your children to the streets, to screens, to peer pressure. So the issues are the same. It's just y'all take a lot longer to warm up to them than,
Mm.
say, a typical American audience.
That's interesting. You had a bit of an awakening yourself, and you wrote about it in your book. What was that moment, and how did it start, and how did you realize that you needed to change?
Yeah, I've had two big epiphanic awakenings. One of them was when I first came to the West, to America, and shed my skin of being an Indian girl, the good girl, the people pleaser, and started this spiritual work, this inner
Mm.
work. And then my next one was 20 years later, around when I was 44, when I left my marriage and went through a whole awakening of, kind of leaving that role of being the good wife and the person that I was with that person. And it wasn't their fault. It was really who I was and what I allowed. And I was tired of that role. It had outdone itself. And I had outgiven myself. I had outrun my energy. And I was now ready for inhabiting a new sense of self. So it was very painful to let go of somebody who you were so attached to, a marriage that you were so attached to, and it was so grooved in my psyche. But I truly believe that we deserve to wear new skin and to shed old skin. That's my whole thing. And I teach other women how to radically awaken. So my book is called A Radical Awakening. I do retreats all around the world, helping women to enter their next self.
Mm. So, I mean, I'm seeing this a lot because I'm 43 and I've got a lot of friends who are going through something similar. I think maybe it's perimenopause or menopausal,
Yes.
when our hormones shift and we start to go, wait, is this what I want? I know you do these retreats, but do you have any sort of beginning tips for women who are trying to navigate releasing those roles and expectations and identities when they've built their entire lives around them?
So the first step really, I think, is mentorship and sisterhood.
Mm.
So women like me and there are many, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
who have written books to help women through the path. Why would you reinvent the wheel? It is a path, and I really laid it out beautifully. Of course, there are many different ways to walk the path, but as a psychologist, as a woman who's gone through a big transformation, you want to read books like that. So read a book, take a course, and then be in a sisterhood like yours. You have a community. I have a community called the Conscious Circle, and we help each other. We support each other. So you don't feel alone, and you learn from each other. And that's how we used to live in these tribes where our older grandparents, our grandmothers were the crones, and they were the wisdom bearers, and they were the storytellers, and they held our hand. And now we've lost that. So that's my goal in life, is to create sisterhood and to show people the way. So that's the first step. The second step is really to look at your own patterns and to honestly take accountability for how you've been the victim, how you've been the martyr, how you've been the savior, and you've allowed people to exploit you because that was your role. So you can't blame them because you were so invested in your role. Yes, they may have still been an asshole, but you have to take accountability for you allowing it. And that is the radical awakening.
So going inward, doing the work, being unflinchingly honest with your own part that you've played. Yes. Is there almost like a 12-step process where you almost write it all down and you kind of confront those people and
well, you
apologize?
Don't have to confront the people.
Not confront, but it's all inward.
It's all inward. If you do get to,
it's not like the alcoholics that have to go back and say sorry.
No, in fact, that can be quite crippling. And great, go say sorry, but don't expect anything from anyone, right? And I think even in AA, they tell you to write the letter, but it doesn't mean that the other person needs to be ready to forgive you or let go. So in my book, A Radical Awakening, it's 350 pages. It is a pathway to emancipation, to liberation, to freedom. It's really amazing.
Good. Oh, okay. That's on my next list. When was the last time that you felt completely undone? And how did you mother yourself through it?
Well, I would say, 9 years ago when I first started this unraveling of my marriage, it was so painful to let go of this idea of me. It wasn't even painful to let go of the marriage because I had outdone the marriage years ago. It was hard to let go my own attachment to my image of this amazing woman who's sacrificing and giving and has the perfect family and so fun. We had this reputation of being so fun and so amazing, and I was shattering that, and I didn't want people to have the pleasure to see me fall, right? It was all ego. And then when I burnt that and I said, I don't care how people think of me. I really don't care. Like, let them think I'm worse than them, the worst person on earth. I don't care. When I got to that place, that was my liberation. It's incredible. I still have it, that I really don't care because I've let go. Like, I already know people have already tarnished my image that I had of myself. Like, they've already in their mind gone, oh, she broke up her family, poor thing, she doesn't have the perfect family. It's already finished. Like,
it's done. And they've moved on to the next thing. They've moved on to the next thing, and they've judged the next person.
And it didn't even bother me, and it didn't even affect me. It didn't even destroy me. And who even knows what they're thinking? And who even cares, right? And do I really need their approval? I don't, because I know that everyone's glass is broken already. Everyone's mirror is cracked, or it's about to be cracked. So I don't need people's endorsement. And when you get to that place, and I'm not saying this in a callous, like, who gives a damn, I'm better than anyone. No, it's just I've let go bothering my mind, wondering what people think about me. Like, it's not my business anymore. And I'm so happy now that I don't have that extra intrusion in my well-being. Like, it doesn't bother me. It's not my business what people think of me. I'm giving people the freedom because I want the freedom. So think whatever you like of me, have a party, bitch about me, gossip, like, go enjoy. Like, I'm so happy if I give you gossip.
Like, let them,
good for, like, look how much gossip. But I also want to be free to be me. So you be you, I be me. And there's so much relief there.
That's brilliant. You mentioned briefly, everyone's mirror's broken, everyone's glass is broken. So you've counseled thousands of people. What's the most common emotional wound that we're all silently carrying, and what's the first step to dissolving it?
I think the wound is of needing approval and
Yeah.
validation and praise. I call it the triple threat in my book, Radical Awakening: approval, validation, praise. It is, we are suckers for it, we're starving for it, we're addicts for it, and we need to just stop. And men don't have it so much. Yes, they have it for success and achievement and sexual conquest, but they don't have this very needy, hungry, desperate, do you see me? Am I amazing? Do I matter?
Yeah.
And we're so hungry for it, we morph and we shapeshift just to get it. And we got to stop.
How did you let go of it? How?
Well, I let go of it in a little bit of a controversial way. I don't think people may fully like what I'm about to say, but maybe it'll help one or two people. I got over it when I realized how everybody's life that I wanted opinions from, validation from, was equally, if not more fucked up. I mean, sorry. Once I realized that I'm looking for approval from people who are as fucked up as I am, what am I doing? What am I doing?
We're all fucked up. That's the thing.
That's it.
Fucked up in some way, somewhere along the line.
But see, many of us are living with the illusion that there's this person out there that's a mythical being, and now you want their approval, right? And the perceived is, the perceiver is in the illusion, but the perceived is in their own delusion of grandeur themselves, that they're amazing. And I've just seen through the illusion of culture too much that I'm not buying into this anymore, right? I don't, when I look at say a beauty pageant, for example, I don't want to be that girl because the whole industry to me is toxic. So I'm done with it, right? Or when I see somebody who is, making 10 billion a year, to me, that's unhealthy. That's toxic, right? I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that wealthy because that much wealth comes at the hands of exploitation. You cannot be that wealthy without exploiting something, right? So the oligarchs, they are plundering the oceans, plundering the earth. I don't want money at the expense of that. So I'm not caught up in that. I'm not caught up in an extreme version of any sort of capitalism or beauty or thinness, or so anything of that extreme doesn't beguile me because I've seen through the toxicity of that industry. So once you've seen through it, you don't want it. So now you're not beguiled by it. Now you've let it go. But you have to be willing to be brave enough to see how toxic that industry is and all the trappings that come with it, right? The fancy bag, the fancy shoes, okay, right? They're being made in Bangladesh by child laborers, or the diamond you're wearing, okay, that's by child laborers in the Congo or in in Africa. So once you see through the industry, then you're kind of repulsed by it, then you don't want it anymore.
That's fascinating.
And not to say that I don't have horrible fast fashion. I'm wearing fast fashion. I can own my part in it, and I can stop being seduced by it.
So being so conscious and aware, do you still get swept up in the aesthetic? You know, the skin care, the home beauty?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I have a whole pharmacy in my bathroom. I keep buying new things that promise that I'm going to look better.
Well, you look fantastic.
Well, thank you. Well, I keep trying. But I will tell you, I have now decided, it's hard for me, but I've decided not to fall for the Instagram ads anymore.
Yeah, they're usually products that don't work. Yeah, they're very convincing though, aren't they?
They're so good. I'm like, how is this housewife doing such amazing things with her skin? And have you seen the one where they take off the sunspots, like with the whole mask?
No.
They're so clever. They're so clever. So now I've realized I'm doing everybody a favor. And I know if you're an Instagram seller, influencer, you're probably upset with me. I for myself have decided not to get beguiled by it because they don't work. When I put it on me, it doesn't work.
What do you use? What skincare do you use?
Oh my goodness. I think I use some estradiol, some on my face. Yes, I just started, and just maybe 6 months, and I think it's making a difference. Wow. So it's prescription estradiol. Yeah. I'm 53, so I'm like, I don't care.
I know,
I'm
and you look
it.
fabulous.
Just some basic, La Roche-Posay. Then I do go for microneedling, and And I bought a little micro needling kit myself. I love it. I love it.
Amazing.
And some laser once in a while. When I go to India, you get really cheap cheap laser
Cheap
treatments.
laser,
So I
yeah.
go there. But I'm talking like once.
How do you feel about injections?
Like injectables?
Injectables, yeah.
Yeah. You know, if I have to, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm trying to resist.
Yeah.
And phase myself in. But if I had like a really, you know, something very troubling to me, I would explore it. I'm not against it. And I encourage women to sit with it first, you know. So I've been sitting with my wrinkles and my dents and my crevices.
You have no wrinkles.
No, I do.
Perfect.
You're very kind. But I sit with it, and then I let it really metabolize before I'm impulsive.
Yeah.
But then if I want to do something, you know, like I did my eyebrows recently, and I got tired of filling them in, so I went and did my eyebrows. I'll go do it, and it saves me so much time. So I'll pick and choose my gifts, you know, like, and I'll gift myself something, and I'll treat myself to something. But I first have to make sure that I'm not doing something impulsively or like an addict, you know. That's what I care about, that I'm thinking about it, I'm being thoughtful, I'm being kind to myself, I'm doing it out of self-love. I'm making sure that I'm coming from as good a place. And then, you know, I dye my hair, for example. I haven't been brave enough to let my...
Do it yourself?
Yeah, I do it at home. I do it at home.
My mum's coming over soon, and I'm doing her hair for her because she's hurt her shoulder. So it's good.
I mean, whatever little thing, you know, I do my highlights myself. I like have a whole kit that. So whatever is fun and easy, and I've owned it. You know, I was the other day with a woman who let her hair grow out, and she looked fabulous with her gray hair. And I had to ask myself, Shefali, are you ready? And I said, no, I'm not ready. And so I'm not going to beat myself up for not being ready. I'm giving myself the permission to enjoy my hair the way it is. So I don't believe in like, we need to like, you know, go all natural and before our time or before we're ready. I believe we have the technology. So use the technology that makes sense for you. Just be careful that you're not doing it out of this deep insecurity. Do it to, you know, to adorn yourself, but also don't depend on it, right? Be like, and I challenge myself to go out as much without makeup as I like to glamorize myself, right? And buy something from Amazon as much as you would buy a designer, right? And have the flexibility to be the boys girl and the girls girl and the diva, and do all of it, but don't be stuck in one thing only. And don't think that in any way your worth comes from that, right?
That's a really good summary. I like that. Well, we always finish our interviews on Beautiful Inside with our Sacred Six, which is the 6 products, practices, protocols that make you look and feel your best.
I definitely exercise every day, something, you know, the more the sweat, the better, but I definitely at least walk.
What do you do? Do you go to the gym or do you walk?
No, I have a little gym in my house and then I walk, but I'll do an hour or two. I have green juice at least 4 or 5 times a week, if not every day.
Do you make it yourself?
No, I don't. My housekeeper does. If she doesn't come, we're not having green juice.
It's a big job, yeah.
It's a big job. It is too much work.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely have at least 20 or 30 minutes of stillness through my day where I'm checking in, I'm doing my thing. My work is my fulfiller because I get to talk to people like you. So it's not work for me. It's what keeps me balanced, what keeps me on track, what keeps me aligned, because teaching the principles makes you have to live it, you know. And then I have 2 guilty pleasures. So one of them is my travel, which I only began doing in my late 40s. So please, nobody should think that they should be doing this. But because I can travel, I make sure I do travel once a month. So once a month I go somewhere. And that's my time off. That's my...
Favorite destinations quickly, like last 3 or 2 favorite destinations you've
any been to? Ocean, you know, where and then my last guilty pleasure is that I'll try to scuba dive once every 2 months or 3 months. Fabulous. I'll try to put it into my travel somewhere.
Oh, wow.
And that's my, oh my God, like my escape, my rejuvenation, my reminder that I'm irrelevant, that I am, a piece of coral, a piece of sand. So I'm lucky now in my 50s that I've earned the right and the privilege to gift myself. I gift myself a lot of pleasure, a lot
That's
of
what life's about.
massages. I give massages, facials, my microneedling treatments, my hair massage. I do so much spoiling of myself because I spent years in, so poor. I couldn't afford a yogurt when I came to America. So I feel very privileged now that I can gift myself things. I gift my mother things. I gift my family things. I'm of that time. And I truly believe we shouldn't die with all our money. We should spend it on good things, on loving things.
Yeah, and sharing it with your loved ones. Well, I hope you do get some diving in Australia.
I'm going to go to the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, you are? I'm so
Yes.
glad. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, good. Well, Dr. Shefali, that was just an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you
had
so
many
much.
wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful advice, and
I
beautiful.
hope that your friends and especially your sisters, your mother, friends, come visit me for a real evening of soul and fulfillment, a lot of release, and a lot of wisdom that my teachings really have given to the world. And it's really these teachings that I'm just the vehicle, the vessel for it. But
you do it
so I hope I see you.
I look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully when you're out.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Beautiful Inside. If you enjoyed this, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend, leave a review, or give us a rating.